Okay, let me tell you about the most awkward, wild, and unexpectedly hilarious night of my life. It all started a few weeks ago. My friends, bless their meddling hearts, decided I'd been single for way too long. They insisted they had found the perfect person for me and were setting me up on a blind date. I was hesitant, of course. Blind dates are the stuff of sitcom nightmares, right? But they were so enthusiastic, telling me how this person was funny, smart, and totally my type. After a week of nonstop hype, I finally gave in. What's the worst that could happen? Famous last words. The plan was simple. Meet at this cozy little Italian place downtown at 7. I got there a bit early, to get my bearings and mentally prepare myself. I was sitting there scrolling through my phone, trying to act cool and not look like I was nervously sweating through my shirt. 7 o'clock hits, and the bell on the door jingles. I look up, ready to spot someone who looks equally lost and hopeful, and my jaw just drops. Standing in the doorway, looking just as confused as I felt, was Alex. Now, to understand the sheer, earth-shattering awkwardness of this moment, you need to know who Alex is. Alex isn't just some random person. Alex is my best friend Sarah's ex. And not just any ex, the ex. The one from the legendary, dramatic 3-year-long relationship that ended in a fiery explosion of tears and blocked numbers about a year ago. I was there for all of it. I was the shoulder to cry on, the provider of ice cream, the one who listened to a 3-hour monologue about a misplaced sweatshirt. I had heard every story, every pet peeve, every single detail about their relationship. Alex was practically a character in the tragic play of Sarah's love life. And now that character was walking towards my table, looking like they'd seen a ghost. My brain completely short-circuited. I was running through every possible scenario. Did my friends do this on purpose? Was this some kind of twisted prank? Or was it the most cosmic, poorly timed coincidence in the history of the universe? Alex reached the table, and the look on their face was a mirror of my own horror. We just stared at each other for what felt like an eternity. The silence was so loud I could hear the couple 2 tables over debating about garlic bread. Finally, Alex broke the silence with, "You've got to be kidding me." And all I could manage to squeak out was, "My thoughts exactly." So there we were. The confidant and the ex sitting across from each other at a candlelit table meant for romance. The waiter came over, all cheerful and oblivious, asking if we were ready to order drinks. We both just kind of mumbled water and went right back to our silent, mutual panic. What do you even say in a situation like this? So tell me about yourself, person I already know way too much about through secondhand breakup stories. Or maybe remember that time Sarah told me you sing off-key in the shower? Good times, it was a social minefield and we were both completely unarmed. After another minute of painful silence, I just started laughing. Not a little chuckle, but a full-on, can't breathe, tears in my eyes laugh. It was just too absurd. The sheer audacity of the universe to put us in this exact situation. Thankfully, Alex started laughing too. It was like a pressure valve had been released. The absurdity of it all was the one thing we could immediately agree on. "Okay," Alex said, wiping a tear from their eye. "We have to figure out who is responsible for this crime." That was it. That was the moment the night shifted from a potential catastrophe to something else entirely. We spent the next 10 minutes playing detective, comparing notes on which of our friends were the masterminds. It turned out to be a joint effort from both our friend groups. They thought, and I quote our mutual friend Mark via text, "You're both great people, why not?" The naivety was almost impressive. With the mystery solved, we decided to make the best of it. We weren't going to let our friends' terrible matchmaking ruin a perfectly good Friday night. We ordered food and we started talking. Not about Sarah, not about the breakup, but about everything else. And here's the crazy part. It was fun, genuinely fun. I discovered that Alex had this incredibly dry sense of humor that I'd never known about. We talked about terrible movies we both loved, our shared hatred for cilantro, and our dreams of one day owning a dog. I was learning about Alex, the person, not Alex, the ex. All the stories I'd heard were just one side of a very complicated, very human person. It was like meeting someone for the first time, but with this bizarre, shared history looming in the background. We made a pact early on, the Sarah rule. We weren't allowed to talk about her. Not because we were trying to be sneaky, but because it was the only way we could have a normal conversation. And it worked. We talked for hours. The restaurant started to empty out, and we were still there, deep in conversation about a wild theory Alex had about a popular TV show. For the first time, I saw the person Sarah had fallen for. The charm, the wit, the kindness, it was all there. And I had to admit, my friends weren't entirely wrong. On paper, we did have a lot in common. As the night wound down, we walked out of the restaurant, and the dreaded topic finally came up. So, what do we do now? Alex asked. This was the million-dollar question. Do we tell Sarah? Do we pretend this never happened? Do we go on a second date? The thought was both terrifying and intriguing. I mean, could you imagine that conversation? Hey, Sarah, you'll never guess who I'm seeing now. Yeah, that would go over well. We decided that honesty, as scary as it was probably the best policy. We agreed we both needed to talk to her separately and just be upfront about the ridiculous situation our friends had put us in. And as for a second date, we left it open-ended. We exchanged numbers, this time as ourselves, not as Sarah's friend and Sarah's ex. We shared a hug that was still a little awkward, but also surprisingly warm. Walking home, my mind was racing. The whole night felt like a script from a romantic comedy. The impossible setup, the initial horror, the slow burn of actually getting to know someone and liking them. What had started as a recipe for disaster had turned into one of the most interesting and enjoyable dates I'd ever been on. So what happened next? Well, the conversation with Sarah was a conversation. There was shock, a bit of confusion, and a lot of questions. But ultimately, Sarah is my best friend. She knows my heart and she trusts me. She was more annoyed at our friends for being so clueless than she was at us. She gave us her blessing with the condition that she never has to be the third wheel. Fair enough? And Alex? Well, we did go on that second date and a third. And we're still figuring things out, taking it slow. It's complicated and we're navigating it one day at a time. Who knew that the worst blind date setup ever could actually lead to something good? It just goes to show you, sometimes the most unexpected paths lead to the most wonderful places. Life is weird like that. Thanks for listening to my crazy story. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more adventures in my chaotic life. See you next time.